Hi, I'm John from Atmel, and I'm here to talk about integrated development environments, but more importantly, at integrated development platforms. We're seeing a real change in this industry from IDEs to IDPs, and I want to explain what we are thinking at Atmel about what goes into a successful platform. We're seeing more and more software content arrive in devices to differentiate them. It is key to make products successful, but as software enters into the device, it's more and more complicated to configure. There's simply too much software out there to choose from, and it's very difficult to bring in. And so when we look at IDEs critically, and we speak now of the industry as a whole, we find them to be disjoint. We find them to be a collection of tools that don't work well together. And that integration, that fail of that integration, means longer schedules, more difficult to get products successfully to market. So let's talk about some examples of the change that really go on and what motivates us to keep these products in the market longer. Features come along, and the most obvious example is you want to make a wireless device. You want to make your user interface wireless. That's not exactly an afternoon's work. You're suddenly having to choose between Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, other radio technologies. You've got software to qualify against that. You have any number of user and usability issues to confront, pairing and so forth. So you really have your work cut out for you. You see other issues like simply performance, schedule performance. You might have to get the product to market sooner than you thought. You might have to upgrade the horsepower from 8 bits to 32 bits. All of those things go into a motivation to make your tools relevant to the task at hand. So what we see then is a real difference between an integrated development environment, which is essentially a compiler and a visual editor and a PC allowing you to build an application, to really an integrated development platform. And a platform is a portal. It's a portal that gives you access to the tools that are relevant to the problem at hand, and it allows you access that ecosphere. It also gives you a mechanism to collaborate with others who are sharing a similar technical challenge to you. So when we look at the word platform, we think about that in the context of Atmel. We break it down into these constituent parts. Of course, there's a website. Of course, there's an IDE. But in addition, there's embedded software. We call that the Atmel Software Framework. We also have a hardware reference kit, the Xplained series of hardware. And our gallery and spaces are really innovative introductions this last year to allow people to collaborate and have access to that ecosphere. We'll go through those one by one. Atmel.com is essentially everything we know how to do. It's every training note, every application note. It's all of the capabilities that we have in terms of our success in product, in terms of product engineering. We have product selectors and we have mechanisms to get. Assuming that I can convince you that we have something relevant to your application, the next step, of course, is to bring down the IDE. This is the framework of the tools that allow us to build our applications. And the Atmel Studio 6 is really, really expressive. It gives you 1,600 ready-to-run examples right out of the box. It is the same environment on an 8-bit architecture, AVR derived. It's also on the 32-bit architecture, which Cortex-M derived, meaning the investments you make in one tool set are recaptured in any future program work that we're working on in the future. As I mentioned, it's not just about tools anymore, it's about the software. You need to be able to get access to reliable, well-tested device drivers and the middleware. That might be communication stacks, it might be USB, it might be any type of firmware that you could name. That has to come into your application quickly. ASF provides an intuitive graphical interface to allow you to bring from the components all of the necessary functionality to make that program a success. It's insufficient to provide only the tools and the software. You need a reference hardware to run on. It's not just about an execution environment. I mean, I suppose you could just use a simulator if that was all you were looking for. This is about the bill of materials. This is about the schematics. This is about the footprints, all of the elements that go into making a successful hardware platform. And what's really surprising about our hardware platforms is that they're often as complete to allow you to use them well and deep into the development cycle. Atmel Gallery introduces a whole new capability to the embedded space. We're all familiar with the App Store capabilities of other platforms such as cell phones. This is a mechanism for the embedded space to bring embedded content into users. So tools that are relevant to the task at hand, software, middleware, even services. This is a new ability to bring together all those applications. This is a commercial platform that allows people to get paid for extensions. It's also available to the open source community. There is also the extension developers kit. A gallery would only be sufficient if you can get into it. And this is the mechanism by which you render your plugin, right? You render your capability, and you put that into this. It's everything you require to get this into the channel of Atmel. I mentioned that there's a collaboration trend in this industry, and we see that by virtue principally in the open source communities. But more and more companies are finding it necessary to collaborate amongst themselves, between teams, between sites, between business units. Atmel Spaces is a very tightly integrated collaboration platform into Atmel Studio. And it, very importantly, provides a mechanism for intellectual property sharing that boils down to version control software. We offer support for Subversion, we offer support for Git. With that type of collaboration, you're able to work collaboratively with the experts in the field to keep your focus on your company's core competencies. So when you put them all together, the platform really allows you to work in a new way. It allows you to get access to the work that's already finished. There's no more reinventing the wheel, and you're no longer alone. The advantages then are time to productivity. We see the access to the tools that are relevant at hand. We have market-specific software that we can bring in that's highly idiosyncratic to the application. We have access to the partners that allow us to succeed. And it allows collaboration. Birds of a feather are able to come together. So with all of that together, it's simply a better platform to manage the requirement changes that take place in this industry and allow you to be successful. So I hope you join Atmel and consider using our platform to make your program a success. And in all endeavors, we wish you the best of luck. And thanks for your time.